वल्लभ गिरिवनधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरो वनचारी यमुना तीरो वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री राधा कृष्ण को गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to Jesus. All glories to Jesus. Thank you very much.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सात्वैदं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सागन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So I welcome all of you to this session on Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the commentary on Brahma Sutra itself. In Brahma Sutra, the second sutra is Janmadyasya Yataha. So in this second sutra, Vyasa states the definition of Brahman. Janma Adi. So whatever we see, this universe has Janma, creation. Janma Adi means Janma, etc., which means maintenance and destruction. So he defines the Brahman as the source of or the origin of this universe, its sustenance and its destruction. And in other Upanishads also it is stated, Etava imani bhutani jayante, ena jatani jivanti, yam sam abhi vishanti. The meaning is, the Brahman is that from which yatava imani bhutani, this bhutam means both sentient and insentient being, non-sentient beings. Yatava imani bhutani jayante. Brahman is that from which imani bhutani, these beings, both living and non-living beings, came from. Yatava imani bhutani jayante. Ena jatani jivanti. And where it is sustained. Then Vishanti, then it enters after the universe is destroyed, where it enters to. That is defined as Brahman in Upanishads also. And in Bhagavatam, the very first shloka is exactly the same. It is defining the Brahman. Janmadyasya yataha anmayad itaratascharteshu abhijñā swarat. So Vyasa is declaring in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that the subject matter that is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam is about the same Brahman that Upanishads glorify extensively. And he also defines the characteristics or the lakshanam of that Brahman. Abhijñā swarat. Abhijñā means fully conscious. So the source of this universe, its sustenance and destruction or dissolution, is a conscious being, is a sentient being. It is a Chaitanyam. There is Chaitanyam in Brahman, which some philosophers do not agree. So to clarify that Brahman has Chaitanyam, supremely sentient being, it has, and it is also independent. Swatantram, Abhijñā swarat. Tene Brahma hridaye adikaviye muhyanti et surya. Adikavi here is Lord Brahma. Tene Brahma hridaye adikaviye. So into the heart of this Adikavi Brahma, the same Brahman spoke the Vedas. And then by the same Brahman, the whole Jagat is illusion. Tene Brahma hridaye adikaviye muhyanti yat suryaha. Muhyanti yat suryaha means even great sages and demigods are placed in illusion by the same Brahman. Tejo vari mridam yata. Sometimes we see for land, we, especially on a sunny day when you are going, you could see the water on land. That is illusion. In desert also we have oasis like appearance sometimes, and some animals are fooled by that appearance. Tejo vari mridam yata. Just like that, the whole Jagat, this universe, and the relationships that we forge in this universe are sometimes taken as factual when it is not. Tejo vari mridam yata. Muhyanti yat suryaha. And in that way, great sages also get delusioned by the same Brahman. Vinimayo yatra tirshirgo marsha damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. But the same Brahman is self-manifest in his eternal dhamam. Damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. Satyam param dhimahi. And that Satyam param, that param Satyam is what is to be meditated upon. This is how Vyasa starts Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is very clear that this Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be a Brahma Vidya. So one who is conversant with Srimad Bhagavatam has already understood the Brahman, which is sought after by even great sages and yogis. And that Brahman, because it is declared as sentient, Abhijñā and Swarat, that Brahman has activities to perform. And that Brahman also has Gunam. There are also many places, many verses in Upanishads that talk about the Brahman as Nirgunam. But here Nirgunam means that which is without material qualities, sattva, rajas, tamas. So here nirgunam means nirsattva, nirrajas and nirtamas. So Brahman has qualities, but they do not belong to sattva, rajas, tamas. Instead, they are transcendental qualities, kalyana gunams. So what we are going to discuss about in this book is about the same Brahman, Brahman's pastimes, gunams, so on. And that same Brahman is Krishna himself, who advented before 5,000 years. There is no slightest difference between that Brahman and the Krishna that we are discussing. And the effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is also stated in the very second verse. Ishvaraha sadhyo hridi avarudyate. The Ishvara, the same Krishna, sadhyo immediately hridi avarudyate atra. He comes and gets seated in the heart of those who are hearing the Bhagavatam. Those who hear Bhagavatam, immediately Krishna enters into their heart and he places himself so strongly in their heart. Kritibi sushushubi takshanat. Will it happen after liberation, or will it happen after complete reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, or after meditation? For that, Vyasa answers, Kritibihi shubis takshanat. Takshanat means immediately at the same moment when we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna comes and gets seated in the heart of the listeners. That is the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, let me just shortly summarize what we have discussed so far. So, in the first chapter, we saw that great sages decided to perform a very big yajna, sacrifice, fire sacrifice for 1,000 years. And they decided and they agreed that Suta Goswami would be performing that yajna, and he is the head priest for the yajna. And in that yajna, during that yajna, sages placed 6 questions, and we discussed those 6 questions in the first chapter. Quickly going through those 6 questions, the first question was, what is the ultimate good for everyone in this world? So sages always are concerned about the welfare of the being, welfare of all the beings. So their immediate first question was related to the ultimate good, and that ultimate good is called Shreyas. What is ultimate good for everyone in this world? And in the second question, they wanted to know the essence of all scriptures. And in the third question, they wanted to understand why Lord Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. And then they also wanted to know about Krishna's other incarnations. Krishna, when he comes to this world, there are so many incarnations. So why Krishna appeared? That was one question. And why he also takes often other incarnations, other forms, and come to this world? What is the purpose of that? And then the fifth question was related to the Purusha avatars. How he as Mahavishnu expands himself into this creation. And then last question was, Krishna is the maintainer of all the dharmas and Vedas. Now he is not there in this world. So now the religious principles have taken shelter of whom? That was the last question. So this entire Srimad Bhagavatam, in one sense, can be considered to be the answer to these 6 questions posed by the great rishis. However, Suta Goswami also, in brief, answered those 6 questions in second and third chapters. For example, the question related to what is ultimately good for everyone was answered. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yedo bhaktir adokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Pumsam's paro dharma, the ultimate occupation of everyone, savai pumsam paro dharma, yato bhakti radokshaje. The supreme occupation of all the jivas is to engage in bhakti towards the adokshaja or Krishna. Adokshaja means someone who cannot be comprehended through mind or senses. And similarly, at various points, these 6 questions were answered in brief. And in Sudha Goswami also answers, Krishna swadamo upagate dharma jnanadivi saha. So Krishna has left this world along with dharma jnana. Kalau nashta drishamesha puranarko dunoditaha. But he has appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalau nashta drishamesha. Especially in Kali Yuga, nashta drisham. For people who don't have correct vision, Purana arko dunoditaha. Arko means sun. Purana arko, in the form of Purana, that dissipates everyone's ignorance or darkness. Purana arko dunoditaha. Uditaha means to rise. So the same Lord has now appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when Srimad Bhagavatam is understood, it is just like a sun, Puranarko Dunoditaha. It immediately dissipates all the darkness and ignorance present in one's heart. And then sages, then they begin to ask further questions. Why sage Vyasadeva compiled this literature, this great literature, and at which point was it compiled? And why did the son of great sage Vyasa, Shukadeva Goswami, meet Parikshit? And what was the motivation behind Vyasa to compile this great Bhagavatam? So these questions were then later asked. So in the first chapter, first 6 questions were asked. I just discussed about that. In the later chapter, they further began to inquire about the motivation why Vyasa wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam. And for explaining that, we saw what was Vyasa's intention behind compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vyasa could foresee the limitations of people in Kali Yuga. They were said to have short memory, and they were very lazy in understanding spiritual subject matters. And their lifespan is also very short. And they are also always disturbed, upadritaha. Keeping all these factors in mind, he decided to compile this Srimad Bhagavatam. And what was the motivation behind compiling this Srimad Bhagavatam? That question was also answered. So Vyasa was once dissatisfied. He thought within himself that I have done so much. I have compiled the entire Vedas with all the branches and gave it to my 4 disciples. I have also compiled the great Puranas, Mahabharata, especially for people in Kali Yuga, Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam. So which means literally everyone in Kali Yuga can understand the Vedic principles by understanding Mahabharatam. I have done so much, yet I am feeling dissatisfied. What was the cause for this despondency? When he was thinking, he himself could understand the cause of this dissatisfaction was that he didn't describe devotional service to Lord Krishna sufficiently. Then we saw, in order to expand the answers to his doubts, Narada himself appeared. He appeared on the scene and answered Vyasadeva elaborately what was the cause for his dissatisfaction. At that time, he also condemned Vyasadeva, saying that in the name of religion, you have encouraged people in this Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and it is their Swabhava Raktasya, it is their natural inclination to enjoy this world. Pravritti Margam is the natural inclination for people. And you have encouraged people to perform this pravritti, to take the path of pravritti and attaining purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Yet you have not sufficiently described. Natata Vasudevasya Mahimna, you have not you are not to the same extent explained the glories of Vasudeva. You have explained Purusharthas very well. So nicely you have explained what is dharma, how one should earn, how one should lead the life, what are the duties of the people, how they should give charity, how one can perform various yajnas to increase happiness. And by all this, you have only encouraged people to search for flickering happiness. Even if they go to Swarga, the happiness that is enjoyed is just said to be royal version of happiness in this earthly life. Of course, they will be enjoying for several millions of earth years, yet it has to end at one point. And they will be then thrown out of heaven and they will have to take birth in this earthly planets after their pious deeds are exhausted. So I don't see any good in all this. Therefore, I encourage you to describe the activities of Vasudeva, Krishna. Just by understanding these glories of Vasudeva, his gunams, his pastimes, people can be liberated from all the sinful reactions, from all the ignorance that is covering the knowledge of the soul. And the literature that is composed very nicely, yet that doesn't describe the glories of Lord Hari, is said to be considered as the pilgrimage of crows. Tadvayasam tirtham ushanti manasaha. Great sages, they don't take pleasure in such literatures that don't describe the glories of Lord. He himself is Brahman. Great sages who are interested in Brahman won't take any interest in your literatures because they don't sufficiently describe the activities of the Lord. On the other hand, the literature, even though maybe imperfectly composed, yet if that describes the glories of the Lord, still the great sages accept that. So he addressed Vyasadeva's questions in this way, and then Vyasadeva began to ask further questions about Narada. Narada also describes his life in the previous day of Brahma. So one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 Chaturyugas. So it is, if you calculate that, it will come around 4.9 billion years. So in the previous day of Brahma, Narada was son of a maid servant and he was in forest assisting his mother. And at the time, great rishis came to that forest and it was Pravrishi Kalam. So they could not move elsewhere for 4 months. So this poor boy was with them, taking care of them, very obediently serving them. Whatever they would ask, he would bring. Whatever materials that are required for their sacrifices, he would bring. And he was also controlled, self-controlled. He was not interested in playing any sports. And he was very obedient to those rishis. Seeing all these qualities, those Bhakti Vedantas were highly satisfied with this young boy. And so they would bring that boy, they would take the boy and bring him to the discussion. Whenever they discuss Lord Krishna, they also blessed him abundantly. And then they also gave the knowledge that Lord gave in the beginning of creation to Brahma, to that boy. And just by their his association with those great rishis just for 4 months, and by also honoring their uchishta, the remnants of the foodstuff that they left, this boy became advanced in his spiritual consciousness and he developed that vairagyam and bhakti, the Lord, he sat in his heart. And then they left. Then Vyasa then asked questions, further questions. What did you do after they left? To which Narada replied that he was engaging himself in bhakti activities. And at the age of 5, he was admitted to a school, a Veda Padashala, and he was educating. And his mother, one day when she was going to forest to collect milk, she was bitten by snake and she died. So Narada immediately took it as the special mercy of the Lord, and he immediately left the home and started walking through. He walks through various provinces, jungles, rivers, mountains, dense forests, and so on. He keeps going like that. And he once sat under a banyan tree and he started meditating. And when he was meditating, he had the vision of the Lord. So it is stated that so when he was meditating, Dhyayata Charanam Bhojam Bhava Nirjita Chetasa. So he was meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, seated under a banyan tree. Dhyayata Charanam Bhojam. The lotus feet of the Lord is just like a lotus. The feet of the Lord is just like a lotus. Bhava Nirjita Chetasa. With the fully matured mind, consciousness, he was meditating. Outkantyashru Kalakshasya. And as he started meditating, immediately he started shedding tears like anything. Hridi Asin me Shanair Harihi. Hridi Asin, because Hari came to his heart and he sat inside the heart. Prema Atibara Nirbinna, and he started experiencing various ecstatic symptoms. Pulakango Tinir Vritaha, and every hair on his body started rising, and all the organs of his body got enlivened by that devotional, by that meditation. Ananda Samplavelino. It was as if he fell into the ocean of great bliss. Napashyam Ubayam Mune. And he was not even able to distinguish who is he, who is Lord. He was in the total trance, experiencing bliss. And at that time, Lord appeared. Lord appeared and he was enjoying the form. He was just meditating and enjoying the form. And within a short while, that form vanished. After the form vanished, he was greatly aggrieved and he started once again meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, but he did not get the divine vision of the Lord. So it is very clear that there is one vakyam in Upanishad that states, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyaha. This Paramatma, Ayam Atma means here Atma means Paramatma. Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyaha. By hearing various discourses, one cannot attain this Paramatma. Na Medaya, just by intelligence, one cannot understand this Paramatma. Na Bahuna Shutena, even by learning a lot of Vedic literatures, understanding all the Vedic literatures and having good knowledge of Sanskrit, one cannot attain this Paramatma. Then how this Paramatma is attained? In Katha Upanishad, it is stated that out of his costless mercy alone, one can attain Paramatma. So one should pray for the costless mercy of the Lord, and one should only depend on the Lord for one's spiritual progress. Not thinking that I am doing this sadhana, I am doing japam daily, or I am doing bhakti daily, so Lord will immediately come. It is not so. Even the great sage like Narada got vision of the Lord only once in his previous life, and he was totally aggrieved. So just On our own strength, we cannot attain the Lord. Lord cannot be pleased. He doesn't see our knowledge or austerity or our intelligence. He doesn't see anything. He just sees if we are ready to take his lotus feet as the only shelter. That's what he sees. And Lord short while appeared, and he stated, apakva kashayanam durdarshoham kuyoginam. Durdarsho, I am very, very rare to be seen. Kuyoginam, yes, for the immature people, I am very rare to be seen. Don't think that my darshan is easily available. Durdarshoham kuyoginam. Even kuyoginam means one who is not matured or connected with me. I am not so easily obtained. And he states, after this life, you will be getting a body, spiritual body, and you will come back to me. But in this lifetime, this is the last vision that you had, and you won't be having any vision. So it is very difficult to understand the Lord. On one hand, he is liberating even sinful people like Ajamila. At the time of death, he makes Ajamila to utter the names of Narayana and thus take him. On the other hand, Lord is not saving even the great sage like Bharata Maharaja, and at the end of his life, he had to meditate on a deer, and he got the body of a deer. So it is very perplexing. One cannot understand the Lord. One hand, he is saving Ajamila. On the other hand, he is not saving Bharata Maharaja, and he makes Bharata Maharaja to take next birth. On one hand, he says that Durdarshoham Kuyoginam, I'm very rarely seen or attained by immature people. On the other hand, he even liberates Putana, who came to poison the Lord and kill. So the only way to reconcile all these differences is to understand that it is not possible for one to understand the causeless mercy of the Lord, and that is why it is called causeless mercy. So we have to just depend on the causeless mercy while also executing our practices, devotional practices, without being proud. And he will, when he is satisfied, he will come to us and he will give his vision. So in this way, Narada, after his that life, he got the body of Narada in the next day of Brahma, that is in the beginning of the current creation. So after every day of Brahma, there will be a partial destruction. So the universe will enter into the Lord, and in the next day again the Brahma will come to existence, and the creation will happen. And Narada appeared as the son of Brahma himself in this day of Brahma, in the current day of Brahma. So further, there was also another question by sages. Please explain about the king Parikshit. So the conversation that happened between Parikshit and Shukamuni is so great. Shukamuni was considered to be great Brahmanishta, whereas Parikshit was considered to be a great Rajarishi. Please then explain about the greatness of that Parikshit, who happened to meet this Shukadeva Goswami. And for answering that question, we are going to see the current chapter, the chapter 7. So what we have seen so far is just a short summary of what was discussed so far in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the chapter 7, we are going to discuss about how we are going to discuss what happened immediately after Mahabharata war. So immediately after Mahabharata war, the war was almost over. Duryodhana was almost killed, but he was not killed. So Bhima engages in fight with Duryodhana, and he broke the spine of Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was lying. Ashwatthama, in order to show his gratitude to Duryodhana, he falsely thought that by killing the sons of Pandavas, I can satisfy Duryodhana. So he thought, let me go and kill the sons of Pandavas. I'll make this, I'll make this Vamsha to not have any successor. So he went and he chopped the head of the sons of Pandavas who were sleeping at that time, the boys who were sleeping. He went and chopped their head. Immediately, Draupadi woke up and she saw the scene and she was aghast. She immediately started shouting and crying, yelling. And this Ashwatthama, after performing this horrible act, he immediately began to flee the scene. And Arjuna sees this and he immediately raised his Gandiva and said, I'll go and finish him off. I'm going to chop his head and I will bring his head to you and satisfy you. You don't worry. And after hearing that strong words from Arjuna, Draupadi was somewhat pacified. So Arjuna and Krishna, they started towards this Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was running because he was fearful. He thought that if I kill the sons of Pandavas, Duryodhana will be satisfied. But Duryodhana was not at all satisfied. He knew that he was going to die, but he was happy that there will be some successor to Kurus. Pandavas were also Kauravas only. We generally say Kauravas as the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, but Kauravas means one who appears in the dynasty of King Kuru. King Kuru was ancestor to both Pandavas and Kauravas. So Duryodhana was happy that there would be a successor. Now, after hearing this horrible news that Ashwatthama had killed the sons of Pandavas, he felt very sorry and very dissatisfied because there should be a successor in a family so that that successor will give water or pindam to ancestors to satisfy them. If there is no successor to a family, then there won't be anyone to provide water to the Pitrus in the Pitruloka. And so Duryodhana was dissatisfied due to that reason also. So in this way, as they were chasing, as Krishna and Arjuna were chasing this Ashwatthama, he feared. If he really feared, he was frightened and he released Brahmastra. And when he released Brahmastra, the heat of the Brahmastra was so high that all the beings in the universe felt the heat and felt the pangs of the Brahmastra. And Arjuna, he was also fearful seeing all this, and he immediately became very perturbed seeing the Brahmastra that was approaching him, and he immediately surrendered to Lord Krishna. But one thing, this Ashwatthama, he was only capable of releasing Brahmastra. He was not capable of withdrawing the Brahmastra. He only knew to release the Brahmastra. Whereas Arjuna knew how to release as well as withdraw this Brahmastra. So he was learned. We can then see clearly how Drona taught this supreme science, Dhanurvidya, to Arjuna, because Arjuna was his favorite student, whereas he was not teaching the same way to his own son, Ashwatthama. So Ashwatthama was therefore Ashwatthama released Brahmastra, and then Krishna was he took shelter. Arjuna took shelter of Lord Krishna. One should understand, Arjuna was having the knowledge how to counteract this Brahmastra, but he was instead taking shelter of Lord Krishna. That is because one should always accept Lord Krishna as the only protector. He alone is the protector for everyone in this universe. Even if we are capable of protecting ourselves, we should not try to protect ourselves. We should instead seek the protection of Lord Krishna, is what we can understand from this incident. There is also another example of so when Mother Sita was being kidnapped by Ravana, she herself could have burnt Ravana to ashes. Or when Hanuman came to Lanka to see Mother Sita, she could have taken the help of Hanuman. She did not take that because it is not the swarupa of a jiva to try to protect on its own, try to protect using its own strength. The swarupa of jiva is always to take shelter of Paramatma. So here Arjuna is always willing to take shelter of the Lord, and he immediately surrendered to the Lord. And just like Mother Sita was also, she was capable of releasing herself from the custody, but she was waiting for Lord Rama to come and save. That is the attitude of surrendered souls. The soul who is surrendered to Lord Krishna or Lord Rama is always waiting for the Lord for protection. The soul never tries to attempt for its own protection. Surrendered soul, I mean. So, uh, therefore, Arjuna goes and takes shelter of Lord Krishna. अभ्यंकर अपवर्गोसी संश्रुतः कृष्ण कृष्ण महाबाहो भक्तानाम अभयंकर Krishna is said to be the awardee of fearlessness to all his devotees. Bhaktyanam abhayankara tvam eko dahyamananam apavargosi samshutah. So you are alone competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Tvam eko dahyamananam. Everyone in the flames of the material miseries can find the path of liberation. Apavargosi samshutaha. Samshutaha means the samsara. Everyone who is getting burnt in the samsara can find solace only in your lotus feet. So then the Lord then urged Arjuna to counteract the Brahmastra with another Brahmastra. So Arjuna did that. He released his Brahmastra that counteracted the Brahmastra that was released by Ashwatthama. And when both these Brahmastra collided, it was creating an intense heat throughout the universe. Prabhupada, he writes in the purport that the ordinary atom bombs that are manufactured in this world can at most destroy a city or even a country, but it is never capable of creating that level of heat throughout the universe. So here in the Bhagavatam, it is explained that when both these Brahmastra collided, the heat that got released from this effect, this reaction, was burning everyone in this universe. And so Krishna, being the merciful Lord, he immediately reduced the influence of these Brahmastras and they were nullified. So after this Brahmastra was nullified, this Ashwatthama was caught by Arjuna. And this Ashwatthama, who was caught by Arjuna, was dragged by Arjuna like a pashu, like an animal. It is stated here. So he was just like a butcher, he grabs the goat to slaughterhouse. This Ashwatthama was dragged by Arjuna to the palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he drags and he pulls Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama was brought in front of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was seeing all that, and Ashwatthama was he was not having that courage to look at Yudhishthira Maharaj's face after performing that action, after performing that heinous action. So it is stated that at that time, Tata Asadya Tarasa Dharunam Gautami Sutam. So he is son of Gautami. Gautami was wife of Drona. Babandamarsha Tamraksha, and his eyes, Arjuna's eyes, were burning like a copper, red hot copper. Pashunam Rashanaya Yata. As he was pulling the ropes, that were tied to Ashwatthama, he was in intense anger, and his eyes were like Tamraksha. His eyes were like red hot copper. Shibiraya Ninishantam Rajva Badva Ripumbalat. So he, as the Ashwatthama was brought to the military camp, not palace, I'm sorry, he was brought to the military camp. Shibiraya Ninishantam Rajva Badva Ripumbalat, with a great force he was being brought. Prahurjanam Prakupito Bhagavan Ambujekshanaha. Lord was also greatly in anger. Arjuna was also in anger. Yet Vyasa describes Arjuna's eyes as if it was red hot copper, Tamraksha, whereas Bhagavan's eyes are like Ambujekshanaha, like lotus. His eyes, even in his intense anger, he is always spreading the mercy to everyone. That is the characteristics of Bhagavan. Ordinary jivas, they are always under the influence of sattva, rajas, tamas, and we get overly influenced by these three gunas. But Bhagavan, who is above this sattva, rajas, tamas, he is a shuddha sattva, he is in shuddha sattva state. His anger is also blessing. His blessing is also blessing, his anger is also blessing. Whatever he does, they are all celebrated by his devotees. So some people, they will only be interested in discussing the rasa dance of Krishna, but the Vedantists, they are not interested in the Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Both are same Krishnas, whether he is in battlefield or whether he is stealing the butter or whether he is dancing with gopis or walking with his friends and playing with his friends. All these activities, none of these activities are tinged or contaminated by the material qualities, sattva, rajas, tamas. That is why even the great sages, they are interested in understanding the activities of the Lord. So now, after bringing Ashwatthama to the military camp, everyone is here now. Krishna is here, Ashwatthama is here, Arjuna is here, Bhima, all the Pandavas, Draupadi, all are here. Mainam Parthar Hasi Tratum Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi. Lord Krishna said, you don't show any mercy to this Brahma Bandhu. So here the word Brahma Bandhu indicates that he was Brahmana only in the name. Brahma Bandhu, he is just a relative of a Brahmana, Drona. He was not actually a Brahmana, because one who performs such heinous act cannot be a Brahmana. So in the Shastras, it was the four Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, are based on qualities, Guna and Karma, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Merely taking birth in Brahmin's family doesn't qualify one to become a Brahmin. If one takes birth in the family of a Brahmin, it commits activities that are just like Rakshasa, or if one performs horrible acts, he is not Brahmana anymore. That person is considered to be Brahmabandhu or Dvijabandhu. Dvija means one who has taken two births. First birth happens through mother and father. The second birth at the time of Upanayanam or initiation happens through spiritual master and Shastras. So one who takes two births are called Dvija, and they are Brahmanas. If their sons or relatives are only Brahmanas in the namesake, for the namesake, they are called Brahma Bandhus. So Lord Krishna stated, "Oh Arjuna, you don't show any mercy to this Ashwatthama, because he is just a Brahma Bandhu and he has killed innocent boys when they were sleeping. Mainam partar hasi tratum Brahma Bandhum imam jahi Yoshav Anagasa Suptam Avadin Nishi Balakan. Nishi Balakan, when the Balakas were sleeping, Suptam, he has performed very aggressive acts. Mattam Pramattam Unmattam Suptam Balam Striyam Jadam Prapannam Viratam Beatam Naripum Hanti Dharmavit. A Dharmavit who follows the principles of Dharma as per Manu Dharma Shastra never kills Mattam, one who is careless or one who is not having attention. A Kshatriya can kill anyone only in a war, and only when that enemy is having attention or willing to fight. Mattam Pramattam, when one is intoxicated, one is not supposed to kill that intoxicated person. Unmattam, one who is very insane, performing insane acts, Kshatriya should not kill. Suptam, when one is sleeping, a Kshatriya should never kill one who is sleeping. Balam, Kshatriya should not kill kids, Striyam, women, Jadam, mentally challenged, Prapannam, one who has surrendered or one who has given up the weapons and surrendered to Kshatriya, such person should not be killed. But this guy, Ashwatthama, had killed Balakas, and that too they were sleeping. They were not in war. So Shastra say he has violated all these principles that a Kshatriya should follow. He is not a Dharmavit. So naturally, he is not even a Kshatriya now. In the previous shloka, we saw that he was not a Brahmana because he was addressed as Brahmabandhu. In this verse, Bhagavan says that he is not even a Kshatriya, so there is no need to show any mercy to Ashwatthama. Go and immediately kill him. Swapranan yap parapranai prapushnati agranaha kala tadvadastasya hi shreyo yad doshat yati adapuman. Swapranan yap paraprani, one who is protecting one's own Atma at the expense of others' Atma, at the expense of others. Just like people today, they don't have any problem in killing others sometimes. Or most of the times, people also kill various animals to maintain their own body. Despite having enough provisions through plant food, one is still preferring to enjoy the body of an animal by killing it. Swapranan yap paraprane, one who is living at the expense of the others. Swapranan yap paraprane. Prapushnati agrinaha, one who maintains oneself shamelessly. Agrinaha. Kala tad vadastasya. Kala tad vadaha. Killing that person. Tasya hi shreyaha. It is for his own benefit. So Krishna says, one who has performed aggressive act should be killed. So here, Ashwatthama performed a horrible act of aggression by killing the sons of Pandavas, who were after all sleeping, and they were all boys. There was no need for him to kill the sons of Pandavas. They were not in war. In the night time, that too, they were taking rest. So he has to be killed. Otherwise, he is going to suffer the reactions of this sinful action in the next birth in a very, very, very cruel way. So, better if he is given punishment in the very same life, he will be spared at least in the next life. So, killing that aggressor is only for the benefit of that aggressor. Krishna states, Tad vadas tasya hi shreyo yad doshat yati adapuman. Otherwise, by his fault, yati adapuman, that person, adaha, he will go down. He will take horrible birth. He might have to go to a hell. Rather than suffering in hell for millions of years, it is better to kill that person and show mercy to that person by killing that person. So Krishna states, Pratishrutam sha bhavata panchalyai shunmato mama. You have also promised to Draupadi that you would kill you would kill and bring the head of Ashwatthama. So therefore, you are bound to act in such a way as promised. Tadasau vadyatam papa atatati atma bandhuha. So this man is an assassin. He is a murderer of your family member. Not only that, he had also dissatisfied Duryodhana. He did all this for Duryodhana, but Duryodhana himself was not happy to see this. So therefore, kill him immediately. So Krishna was urging Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama without any delay, because that is for his own benefit. That is for the benefit of Ashwatthama. Then, although Krishna was examining Arjuna, so Krishna was testing Arjuna whether he was to act as per Shastras or not. So he was then taking the opinion of others. There were others also, Draupadi, Yudhishthira, Bhima. So all of them, they gave their own opinions. So Draupadi, she had a different viewpoint. So when Ashwatthama, when he entered the military area, Draupadi, when she saw Ashwatthama, who was bound like an animal, Pashuvat Pashabaddam, just like a Pashu was being dragged, when Ashwatthama was being dragged by Arjuna, seeing that, Draupadi immediately felt very sad and she offered her obeisances to Ashwatthama, despite his performance of cruel act. Who will get a heart of Draupadi? Because she was a devotee, she was seeing that Drona, their guru, was in the form of his son Ashwatthama. So she showed him due respects as a Brahmana, it is stated. She offered obeisances. Nanama, she offered obeisances to Ashwatthama because he was son of Drona due to her Vama Swabhava. So here Vama Swabhava is explained by Prabhupada as a soft, gentle nature. So that is the nature of any woman. Generally, women are Vama Swabhava. They are very gentle, very soft. She did not have any consideration that he had performed heinous act. So he was a Brahmabandhu. He was no longer a Brahmana. She did not have any such consideration. She did not consider those points. Instead, because of her gentle nature, she offered obeisances to Ashwatthama and she showed respects. And Ashwatthama was even more embarrassed by this scene. He himself felt bad. And she could not tolerate also Ashwatthama being bound by ropes. And she said immediately, release him. Muchyatam muchyatam yesha. Muchyatam muchyatam yesha. Release him. Don't tie him. Nitaram Guruhu. He is our Guru. Brahmanaha Nitaram Guruhu. He is a Brahmana and he is our Guru. So we should therefore be grateful to our Guru. It is only because of Drona that Arjuna had become such a great expert in archery. And so we should be grateful to Drona, and so she was out of gentle nature and also consideration that he was a Brahmana, son of a Brahmana. She asked him to be released immediately. And also she states that he is still existing. Sa yesha Bhagavan Dronaha prajarupena vartate Bhagavan Dronaha. So the Lord Drona, our dear Lord Dronacharya, prajarupena vartate, he is in the form of his son. Tasyatmano rudam patni aste nanvagat virashu kripi. And his wife Kripi, Drona's wife Kripi, was still there because she did not die immediately after Drona died. She was still there because of Ashwatthama's presence. Ashwatthama did not die, so for his sake she was still there. So if we go and kill Ashwatthama, what would be her situation? I can only understand the situation, how it feels when one mother's sons are killed. So I don't want to give the same pain to Kripi, that to our Guru's wife. We have learned so much from our Guru, so we should not cause grief. We should always respect them and we should worship them. So she did not want to give that pain to mother of Ashwatthama, so she did not want Drona's son Ashwatthama to be killed. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me, she says. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me. So I am worried. I am constantly crying and I know the pain. I know the pain. None of you know the pain. I know the pain. I know the pain of a mother. So therefore, I don't want the wife of Dronacharya to also face similar situation. So she therefore says Ashwatthama should be released. We should not kill him because it will be greatly disrespectful to our Guru Patni Kripi. Kripi was sister of Kripacharya. So she will then feel intense agony over death of his son, death of her son. So let's not perform this heinous act. So in this way, Arjuna received contradicting suggestions. Krishna thought that Ashwatthama was not even qualified to be called a Brahmana, and he ordered Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama immediately. Whereas Draupadi thought that Dronacharya was living in the form of Ashwatthama, and killing Ashwatthama would not only be disrespectful to Dronacharya, it would also cause intense agony to Kripi. So Ashwatthama should be released. Now, hearing the arguments from both parties, Arjuna had to take a decision now. Suta Uvacha, and then also Nakula and Shahadeva, they also consented with, they agreed with proposal of Draupadi. So Arjuna, Sahadeva, Satyaki, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, Satyaki, Krishna, and all the ladies there, everyone unanimously agreed with Yudhishthira Maharaja. Yudhishthira Maharaja supported the queen statements of Draupadi. So everyone now agreed that Ashwatthama should be released. But there was one person who disagreed. It was Bhima. Bhima was not at all satisfied with this decision of everyone. He disagreed with everyone and recommended killing Ashwatthama immediately for his murdering sleeping sons. Murdering sleeping children had no purpose, but he did that heinous act. So therefore, there should not be any excuse. So now Krishna then turned to Arjuna and said, so now you have listened to the words of Bhima, Draupadi, Yudhishthira, all of them gave their opinions. I agreed with Draupadi. Initially, I asked you to kill, but then after Draupadi's arguments, I sided with Draupadi. Now, Bhima is not willing, so you have to satisfy both of them. So Krishna give equivocal instruction. A friend of a Brahmana should not be killed. A Brahma Bandhu should not be killed. That is there in Shastras. But an aggressor, Atatayi, must be killed. That is also there in Shastras. You have to now obey both the rulings in the Shastras. Brahma Bandhu should not be killed. That is instruction in the Shastra. Brahma Bandhu should be worshipped just like a Brahmana. That is the instruction in the Shastra. An aggressor is one who performs aggression for no reason. And Shastras also define an aggressor. So one who sets fire to a house or one who kills someone who is sleeping, so on. So these are some of the ways by which we can identify an aggressor. An aggressor should be killed, says the same Shastras. Now you perform action such a way that both are satisfied. So you have to fulfill your promise to your wife, Draupadi. You also have to fulfill and satisfy Bhimasena, who wanted this Ashwatthama to be killed. So, hearing both the statements, Arjuna understood the motive of the Lord. So, Lord was testing Arjuna to see how he takes decision as a bhakta. So, what he did was he severed the hair and the jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. So, the hair that Ashwatthama had was severed by Arjuna along with the jewel. And by doing so, the Ashwatthama lost his bodily luster. So when one's hair is cut along with the jewel, it is equivalent to killing that person. So thereby he satisfied Bhimasena. But he also released Ashwatthama after his bodily luster was lost. So he was also satisfying Draupadi. So thereby he satisfied both Bhimasena. He killed Ashwatthama by cutting his hair, and he also released Ashwatthama by releasing him after his bodily luster was taken away by removing the jewel that he had on his head. So in this way, he acted in satisfaction for he satisfied both Bhima and Draupadi, and Ashwatthama was thereby released. So this is the chapter 7. So we have just discussed chapter 7, except few portions in the chapter 7. I was in the beginning of the class explaining a story, so I don't want to get the storyline disrupted. So I was continuing the story. Still, we will see what happened after Drona was released in some time. But I would like to now go to the philosophical aspect in this chapter and discuss the philosophy that was discussed in the beginning of the chapter. So, in the beginning of the chapter, Vyasa was about to start compilation of Srimad Bhagavatam after being urged by Narada. And after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, he narrated this Srimad Bhagavatam to his son Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami listened to Srimad Bhagavatam thoroughly, and then he assimilated the meaning of the Bhagavatam. So Suta Goswami says in the beginning of the chapter, we have covered the storyline in this chapter. Now I'm just retracting back to see philosophical aspects in this chapter. In the beginning of the chapter, Suta Goswami says, Suta Uvacha Brahmanadyam Saraswatyam Ashramaha Paschime Tate Shamya Prasa Iti Prokta Rishinam Satravardhanaha. So on the bank of river Saraswati, which is intimately related with Vedas. Brahma Nadi, it is called Brahma Nadi. Ashramaha Pashchime Tate. Ashrama of Vyasa is situated on the banks of river Saraswati. Shamya Prasa iti prokta. And the name of the place where the ashram is located is called Samya Prasa iti prokta Rishinam Satravardhanaha. And the Vedavyasa sat in meditation for composing Srimad Bhagavatam. So before composing Srimad Bhagavatam or compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, he sat in meditation and he wanted to withdraw himself, his senses from all the external activities and fully focus on the Lord and then get the content for writing Srimad Bhagavatam. So his ashram was surrounded by berry trees, it is stated. So it is still there. His ashram is still there in Badrik Ashram. One can go to, we happened to visit once Badrik Ashram. So we went to his ashram once. So his ashram is surrounded, it is said that his ashram is surrounded by Badri Sanda Mandite, berry trees. And he sat down to meditate after touching the holy river Saraswati. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. So as he sat on meditation, Bhakti yogena manasi, with the Bhakti yoga, he started concentrating. Samyak pranihite amale, without any contamination by material gunas, apashyat purusham purnam, he could see the Purna Purusha, Bhagavan, Krishna, Mayam cha tadapashrayam. Maya was also standing, Krishna was also standing, but he saw that this Maya was taking shelter of Krishna, Mayam cha tadapashrayam. So this Maya is not independent. This Jagat is not independently acting. This Jagat or this Maya has taken shelter of the Bhagavan. So this shloka summarizes the entire activities of Bhagavan in his interaction with Prakriti, both. So Maya is just like a strict mother. Bhagavan is just like a father. The jivas who are disobedient to Bhagavan, who don't want to serve Bhagavan, are immediately captured by this strict mother called Maya Devi and put into this prison house called this cosmos or universe by awarding various bodies. Just like everyone takes birth out of the womb of one's mother, all the jivas have taken their respective bodies due to their karma, and they are now roaming in various bodies from one loka to the other. And the one who is awarding various bodies is this Maya. This Prakriti is awarding various bodies to all these jivas. And this Prakriti is Mayam Chata Dabashrayam. It has taken shelter of the Bhagavan. And due to this Prakriti, Yaya Sammohito Jiva, Yaya means by this Prakriti, by this Maya, Sammohito Jiva, everyone is in illusion. Atmanam Trigunatmakam, thinking that one is being conditioned by the Trigunatmakam, Triguna, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Yaya Sammohito Jiva, everyone is delusioned. Paropi, though the Jiva is also transcendental, just like the Lord. Para means supreme, transcendental. Jivas are also transcendental. Paropi, even though one is transcendental, Manute Anartham, the Jiva has accepted Anartham, things that are not wanted. Tat Kritam Chapi Patyate. And due to having accepted the gunas of Prakriti, Atmanam Trigunatmakam, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Jiva originally it is pure, extremely pure. Jiva is also Sachidananda Swarupam only. Jiva's qualities, Bhagavan's qualities, both are same. Bhagavan is also Sachidananda Swarupa, Sachidananda Paramatma. Jiva is also Sachidananda. But because Jiva is very small, it comes under the influence of the Prakriti or Maya. And this Maya engages this Jiva through the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, in various activities. Tat kritam chabi padyate. Due to the reaction, that due to this reaction of the influence by the three gunas, this jiva is now acting in various capacities. Sometimes the jiva is taking the body of a deva. Sometimes this jiva is taking a body of an animal, or a pig, or a cow, or a human. And then after taking human birth, this jiva is engaging himself in so many acts. Sometimes he performs business, sometimes he goes to school, sometimes he is punished for his crimes by government. He performs all these actions, forgetting that he is Param, he is Sachidananda Swarupam, he is the servant of the Lord. Forgetting all that, he is now engaged totally. If you go outside and you see people are busy doing so many activities, performing so many duties, all of which are performed due to being illusioned. Atmanam Trigunatmakam. Due to being illusioned by the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, sammohito jiva, the jiva is illusioned, and tatkritam chabipatite. Because of this influence of the three gunas, now the jiva has taken various activities, multifarious activities, billions and billions of activities. Someone is an entrepreneur, someone is an employee, someone is a factory worker, someone is rotting in the prison waiting for the capital punishment, or someone is taking the body of a hog, someone is taking a body of a goat and being killed by a butcher. So all this is happening because of the Atmanam Trigunatmakam. The Atma is now unnecessarily identifying itself with this Prakriti, and it is suffering. There is no need for Jiva to suffer. Jiva is, everyone is seeking for happiness, eternal happiness, but because of this illusion, everyone is suffering. Illusion of identifying with this Maya Prakriti, everyone is suffering. That's why Krishna in the first chapter, in the second chapter of Gita stated that you are not this body. So everything is starting from there. Entire ignorance is starting from that point of identifying with the body. So Krishna started from that point. And then Anartha Upashamam Shakshat Bhakti Yoga Adokshaji. So how can then, so he was contemplating. So this Bhagavan is here, Jiva is, Maya is here. Maya has taken shelter of Bhagavan. And this Maya is engaging these Jivas in various activities. Tat Kritam Chabi Patyate. Now I need to release them. I don't, it is not good to see these Jivas suffering in the Maya. In taking various bodies. So thinking about the relief for the jivas, when he was contemplating, anartha upashamam sakshat. Upashamam means mitigation. Anartha means that this jiva is now suffering. This is called anartham. Anartham upashamam sakshat. This anartham can be mitigated sakshat bhakti yogam adokshaje, by the practice of bhakti towards adokshaje, means the Lord who is beyond the comprehension of the senses. Lokasya ajanatah. But the loka, they don't know. If you go and ask any professor, they will have their own opinions. Perhaps they don't know what is liberation. Perhaps they don't even believe in Atma. Then where is the question of understanding Paramatma or Maya or Trigunas or so on? There is no question of knowing all that. So, lokasya ajanato. Lokas, none of them know. No jivas know. Everyone is enjoying in this world or imagining that one is enjoying in this world, but none of these people know that they are Amsha of the Supreme Lord. Lokasya ajanatah vidvamsh chakre satvata samhitam. Vidvamsh means here the great sage Vyasadeva therefore compiles this great literature, Satvata Samhitam. Satvata means something in connection with Sat or Bhagavan. So this great Vedic literature, Bhagavatam, is in connection with the Bhagavan. So this great sage, seeing all that and being impelled by the daya, mercy, to release these jivas from the anarthas, anartha upashamam, he composes this great literature to release them. Yasyam vai shuyamanayam, just by listening, shuyamanayam, just by listening to this great literature, Yasyam, this Vedic literature, Krishne Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate. Bhakti Utpadyate. Bhakti will automatically flourish or be produced. Krishne Paramapurushe. Unto that Lord, Krishna, who is Paramapurusha, who is the supreme person amongst all the persons. All the jivas are themselves persons. And he is a supreme person, Paramapurushe. Shoka Moha Bayapaha. And only by this process of Yasyam Vai Shuya Mayayam, Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate. So by hearing to this Vedic literature, one gets desire, one gets love towards that Paramapurusha Bhagavan Krishna, and then Shoka Moha Bayapaha. That is the way by which these jivas can be released from Shoka, Moha, and Bayam. Shoka means lamentation. Everyone is lamenting for what one doesn't possess. That's why people perform various actions, because they feel something is lacking in them. So they are always in shoka. Moha, they are illusioned, always thinking that these relationships that they have in the world are factual. Bayapaha, everywhere there is fear for the survival. Everyone is fearful because everyone knows somewhere in the mind that this body is temporary. So therefore, everyone wants to clinch to this body, to this life, till the end of the life. Shoka Moha Bayapaha. But all these apaha, all this can be extinguished. Shoka Moha Baya, these three can be extinguished by hearing to this Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sa Samhitam Bhagavatim Kritvanu Kramya Chatmajam. So after compiling this Srimad Bhagavatam, Kritva Anukramya Satmajam. So Vyasadeva, he spoke this Bhagavatam to his son Shukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in Nivritam Niratam Munihi. He was already Nivriti, he was not in Pravritti Marga. He was already in Nivritam Niratam. He was already engaged in self-realization. Who? Shukamuni, Shukadeva Goswami, son of Vyasadeva, was already engaged in Nivritti Marga. So therefore, Shaunaka Rishi asked this question. Shukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization. Then why did he take trouble to undergo? Why did he take trouble to read this great scripture? Already he was a Nivriti. So we say that this Bhagavatam is only for the liberation. Did we say? Answer is no. It is for the liberation for all the jivas, that is true. But this Bhagavatam is also for the enjoyment of all the Brahma Rishis. Even the great Rishis take enjoyment in this Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, Sukha Goswami answers this very important. So this in this verse, Sukha Goswami states, Atmaramasya Munayo Nirgranta Api Urukrame Kuruvanti Haiti Bhakti Ittam Bhuta Guna. So when Lord Chaitanya was giving explanation to this particular shloka, he gave totally 81 different explanations out of his ecstasy. So this is such an important shloka. Atma Ramasya Munayo. So of course, this Shukamuni was Nivritam Niratam. He was always engaged in self-realization. True. But such Atma Ramas also. Atma Rama means someone who is taking pleasure in the Atma. Someone who is taking pleasure in the Brahman. So I have already explained, Shukamuni was a Brahma Nishta. He was engaging in the Brahma Nishta from the very birth. So that is the realization sought after by Advaitists or impersonalists. So impersonalists, they are very fond of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvishesha, they engage in the Nirvishesha Brahma Upasanam or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is their impersonal realization. Brahmanubhuti. And they are also called Atmaramas. So they don't seek enjoyment in any external object. Atmarama means taking pleasure in their own self. Just they take pleasure in their own self. There is no question of materialism. Atmaramasya Munayo. Nirgranta api. Even though they are freed from all the bondage. Nirgranta api. Gurukrame kurvanti ahitukim bhakti. Such Atmaramas also perform bhakti towards Guru Brahma. Guru Brahma means the Lord who performs glorious action. Any action of Lord Krishna, if you take, it is glorious. Whether he, the way he creates this, or the way he was, or how he comes to this world and performs various actions in various incarnations, everything is glorious. Such Atma Ramas also perform ahituki bhakti towards the Lord, and they also enjoy Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi. What do they enjoy? Bhuta Guno Harihi. They enjoy the wonderful qualities of the Lord. How is it possible for such Atma Ramas to engage in bhakti? Because they have rejected everything as Jagat Vitya. They have rejected everything as false. For them, the whole Jagat is Mithya. But it's stated that this. Yeah, can you please? So, the great sages, they reject this world as false, as Mithya, and they take pleasure in their own self. But even such sages, they become mad after Krishna after experiencing just a glimpse of his qualities. There are various examples. Adi Shankara was a Nirguna Brahmavadi, but he himself was a Rasika. Many of his followers, they don't know. He himself was a Parama Krishna Rasika. And there was another sage, another saint in the line of Adi Shankara, Madhusudana Saraswati. He was a great Krishna Bhakta. He preaches Advaitam, but that is for others. For his own enjoyment, he takes pleasure in Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Gunam only. This, the very Shukamuni, he was, as soon as he got birth, he was a Brahma Rishi. Brahma Nishta, he started walking away from the home. We discussed this. But after he heard Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva, he got attracted and he literally became mad after this Krishna Sukham, Krishna Bhakti Sukham. So it clearly states that there is difference between the rasa one gets from Krishna Bhakti and the Brahmanandam. So, of course, Brahmanandam is trillion times valuable than the happiness, ordinary Vishaya Sukha, sense gratification in this world. But even that Brahma Sukham is insignificant before Krishna Sukham, Krishna Bhakti Sukham. So when one has that Krishna Prema, the happiness knows no bound. That's why great devotees also reject Mukti. They are not concerned about Mukti. Rupa Goswami states 6 different characteristics for Bhakti. One of the characteristics of Bhakti is Moksha Lagukrit. This Bhakti minimizes the value of Mukti. Great sages, yogis, they run after Mukti, but for a Bhakta, it is not at all a concern because already the Bhakta is experiencing supreme Sukham, supreme happiness in Yittam Bhuta Gunoharihi, in the wonderful qualities of Sri Hari, Lord. For them, this Brahma Sukha is insignificant. So, such Atma Ramas also engage themselves. Another example is the 4 Kumaras, Shaunakadi Rishis themselves. The 4 sons of Lord Brahma, they were initially Brahmavadis, Brahma Shuka. They seek after Brahma Shuka, and that's why they were also said to be Brahmacharis. Brahma could not engage them in the act of creation. So they said, we are not concerned with your creation. We are going to search after Brahman and we are going to stay as Brahmacharis. But when they went to Vaikuntha Loka and when they smelled the tulasi that was in the lotus feet of the Lord, immediately they became totally mad after it. They never felt that happiness in Brahma Sukham. Immediately Brahma Sukham became nothing for them. So, therefore, it is stated that Harer Gunakshipta Madhi. Such Atma Ramas, they became mad after Hari's Gunas. After tasting a glimpse of Hari's Gunas, Brahma Sukham, they forget and they run like a madman behind Hari, Lord Hari, and his glories. Hare Chitamatir, Bhagavan Badarayanihi. So this Badarayana, this Shukadeva Goswami, he gave up Brahma Sukha. He gave up the relishment of Brahma Sukha, and he ran after this Lord Krishna's qualities, because that was offering him the happiness compared to which Brahma Sukha was just like a straw on the street. So this is also one of the qualities of bhakti. When one has bhakti, it is beneficial for the jivas, ordinary jivas like us, who are in the samsara, because it pulls one from the kleshas, the material sufferings. It is also sought after by great Atmaramas, great sages, who had already attained the perfection of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and such people also run like a mad person behind the qualities of Hari. Then we should understand how great are the Hari's qualities. We have no idea of that. Once we start to experience that, it makes person mad. It makes Atmaramas mad behind him. That is the quality of Hari's gunas. And none of these gunas are belonging to Sattva Rajas Tamas. Hari's guna or Rupam or his activities, all of them are Shuddha Sattva, and that is why we are interested. That's why Shukamuni is interested in Srimad Bhagavatam. Such people who have no connection with material world, why should they be interested in Srimad Bhagavatam? Bhagavan himself is saying, Jnanicha Bharadarshaba. He proudly declares, even the Jnanis are behind me. Jnanis generally they are behind Brahma Sukham, but those who have attained Brahma Sukham, they are behind me. Krishna states in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So one example is also given. So if honey is licked by an ordinary fly, that is not the greatness of honey. But honey, when it is licked by honeybee only searches for honey. Other flies, they go to filth also, they engage and they take pleasure in filth. And if such a fly comes and takes the taste of honey, it is not greatness of honey. But if honey is sought after by those bees that don't take pleasure anywhere else, that is the greatness of honey. So if ordinary persons are behind Krishna, maybe we can say they are for seeking after liberation, so they want to surrender to Krishna and take liberation, and that's why they are using this process of bhakti. But here Bhagavatam states even great Atmaramas, great Munis, sages, who have already attained the Nirvikalpa Samadhi state, who don't see any difference between this Jagat and Brahman. For them, everything is Brahman. Even such people are madly behind this Harikatha, means the Bhagavatam is just giving glimpse of what we are receiving through Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why one has to continue to engage oneself in this, in relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, and by doing so, one is immediately released of not only this material miseries. Of course, material miseries one will immediately tat kshanat. Immediately when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, material miseries will be gone. But one will also attain supreme happiness that is even incomparable with the Brahma Sukha. So that is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will continue to experience Srimad Bhagavatam in the coming classes. And I could not start the teachings of Queen Kunti, prayers of Queen Kunti. We will discuss that probably in tomorrow's class. So thank you all for joining this class. So let's just end this session by Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So I request everyone to unmute and chant after me, or chant together Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we will end today's session. Okay, so we shall end today's session. Thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna. I just take a lot. One question was asked in the chats, I could see. Ashwatthama also don't want to kill Pandava's son. I heard he wanted to kill Pandavas, but he by mistake killed their sons. Is that right? No, he wanted to destroy the family of Pandavas totally. As we will see in the next chapter, he released Brahmastra second time towards the womb of Uttara. So Uttara was having Parikshit in her womb, and he released Brahmastra for the second time to kill Parikshit, and the only purpose could be to eliminate the whole dynasty. So he felt no one should be there, and it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Apandavam, I will make this earth Apandavam. No one in the Pandavas dynasty or Pandavas family will be there in this world. So he declares that. So clearly he had a purpose, and it was for this purpose he was doing. So he was not killing by mistake. Thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna.